Daniel felt his world collapse when a young girl suddenly began singing at his wedding reception. He told himself he was just nervous about the ceremony, but what destroyed him completely was recognizing a voice that sounded exactly like his lost love from years ago. Emma quietly entered the grand ballroom to the service door, carrying her worn guitar case and some money she'd earned from street performances to buy medicine for her sick mother. The wedding guests looked at her with mixed reactions as she struggled to find a small stage area where she was supposed to perform background music during dinner. "Jennifer, we need to discuss the final details," Daniel said firmly into his phone while speaking to his wedding planner. "I want everything perfect for Victoria. This wedding needs to go smoothly." His voice shook as he ended the call, though he couldn't understand why he felt so anxious about marrying the woman his family had chosen for him. "Excuse me." Emma, a little girl, smiled politely at the wedding coordinator and pointed to her guitar case. "Where should I set up the dinner music?" she asked sweetly, showing her missing front teeth. "Over there by the garden windows," the coordinator replied quickly. "Remember, just soft background music. Nothing that draws attention away from the bride and groom." Emma nodded eagerly. She felt nervous performing at such a fancy wedding, but the payment would help her mother's medical expenses for weeks. Finally, Emma said to herself as she found the designated spot. She was tired from carrying her heavy guitar case, but her smile never faded. Daniel noticed her from across the room as he greeted guests with his new bride, Victoria. He couldn't help but watch how the child moved with such determination despite her obvious struggles. Something about her reminded him of someone, though he couldn't place who. He smiled as she carefully tuned her guitar and tested the small microphone. Part of him wanted to ask the wedding planner who had hired such a young performer, but he worried it might seem inappropriate. He wasn't used to seeing children working at adult events. If things had been different, Daniel thought, my daughter with Sarah would probably be around her age by now. He drifted into painful memories as he looked at the girl preparing to perform. Emma, noticing how sad the groom looked despite his wedding day, couldn't help but feel sorry for him. His face showed deep worry and regret. It reminded her of how her mother looked when she was thinking about Emma's father, the man who had left them years ago. Then suddenly, the little girl began to sing during the dinner service. "There goes my heart beating, 'cause you are the reason I'm losing my sleep. Please come back now." The wedding guests turned their heads in surprise. Emma continued singing, her soft voice filling the elegant ballroom. "You are the reason." When she finished, the crowd gave polite applause. Her voice was beautiful, even though she struggled to pronounce some words clearly due to her two missing front teeth. Instead of saying S, she often said H. Daniel felt his knees go weak. That song wasn't just any song. It was their song. The special song he had shared with his former girlfriend, Sarah. The same woman he had been forced to leave 6 years ago when his wealthy family threatened to disown him if he didn't marry someone from their social circle. "Hey, mister, why do you look so scared?" Emma asked with genuine concern when she noticed Daniel staring at her during a break between songs. "Did you not like my singing?" "My mom said, whenever someone looks worried at a party, sing this song and it will make them feel better. So I sang it for you, but you still look upset." Daniel shook his head and tried to compose himself. He gently approached the small stage area. "Thank you. I'm not upset because of you. Actually, your song helped me remember something important. Thank you for singing to me." "I'm Daniel," he said carefully. "What's your name?" "I'm Emma," she said brightly. "Are you the groom? You look very handsome in your suit." Daniel's heart stopped. Emma, that was the name Sarah had always said she would give their daughter if they ever had one. "Emma, who hired you to sing here tonight?" Daniel asked, trying to keep his voice steady. Emma's smile faltered slightly. "The wedding lady found me singing downtown. My mom's in a hospital and needs expensive medicine, so I've been performing at parties and on street corners to earn money. I know all the pretty love songs that make people happy." Daniel checked his watch, his hands trembling. "Emma, what's your mother's name?" "Sarah," Emma said proudly. "Sarah Chun. She used to be a music teacher before she got sick. She taught me all the songs I know, including that one you seem to recognize." The confirmation hit Daniel like a physical blow. Sarah Chun, his Sarah, the woman he had loved more than anything, who had mysteriously disappeared from the city 6 years ago, right after their painful breakup. And this beautiful, talented little girl was singing their song. "Emma, how old are you?" Daniel asked, though he already knew the answer would destroy him. "I'm 6, Emma said, holding up 6 small fingers. "My birthday was last month, but we couldn't have a party because Mama was too sick. But that's okay, I just sang to her instead." Daniel's world crumbled. 6 years old. Born exactly when Sarah would have, if she had been pregnant when he left her. Soon the dinner service continued, and Emma returned to her background music as planned. But Daniel couldn't focus on anything else. He kept staring at the little girl, seeing Sarah's eyes, Sarah's smile, Sarah's gentle way of tilting her head when she concentrated on her music. "Daniel, you seem distracted," Victoria whispered during their first dance. "Is everything all right? You've been staring at that little singer all evening." But Daniel barely heard his new wife. All he could hear was his daughter, singing the songs her mother had taught her. The same mother who was apparently fighting for her life in a hospital while he was celebrating a marriage he'd never wanted. Emma finished her final song and began packing her guitar. She noticed the groom approaching her again, and this time his eyes were filled with tears. "Emma," Daniel said gently, kneeling down to her level, "I need to ask you something important. Has your mother ever mentioned your father?" Emma's face grew sad. "She said he was a good man who couldn't stay with us because his family didn't approve. She said he didn't know about me, and that someday when I'm older, she might tell me more about him. But she always gets too sad when we talk about it." Daniel felt his heart shatter completely. Sarah had been pregnant when he left. She had carried their child alone, raised their daughter alone, and now was facing illness alone, all because he'd been too weak to stand up to his family's demands. "Emma," Daniel said, his voice breaking. "Which hospital is your mother in?" "City General," Emma replied, looking confused. "But why do you want to know? Do you know my mama?" Before Daniel could answer, Victoria appeared beside them, her wedding dress rustling with irritation. "Daniel, what are you doing? Our guests are waiting for us to cut the cake. Why are you talking to the help?" "She's not the help," Daniel said firmly, standing up. "Victoria, I need to tell you something, and I need you to listen carefully." The wedding guests began gathering around, sensing drama unfolding. "This little girl is my daughter," Daniel announced, his voice carrying across the now-quiet ballroom. "Her mother, Sarah, is the woman I loved before my family forced me to end our relationship. I didn't know Sarah was pregnant when I left her. I didn't know I had a child." Victoria's face went white with shock and humiliation. "You're ruining our wedding for some street performer's lies?" "She's not lying," Daniel said quietly. "Look at her, Victoria. She has my eyes, my chin. She knows our song, the song Sarah and I shared, and she's exactly the right age." Emma looked back and forth between the adults, beginning to understand that something very important was happening, even though she didn't grasp all of it. "Are you saying you're my daddy?" Emma asked in a small, hopeful voice. Daniel knelt down again and gently took Emma's hands. "Yes, sweetheart, I think I am. And I'm so sorry I wasn't there for you and your mama. But I want to fix that now if you'll let me." The wedding guests watched in stunned silence as the groom abandoned his reception to comfort the little girl who had just changed everything. "Can we go see Mama now?" Emma asked eagerly. She's been so worried about the money for her treatment. "If you're really my daddy, maybe you can help her get better?" Daniel looked around at his wedding. The expensive flowers, the elaborate cake, the hundreds of guests who had come to celebrate a union that had never felt right to him. "Jennifer," he called to his wedding planner, "please make arrangements for our guests. Explain that there's been a family emergency." "Victoria," he turned to his bride, "I'm sorry, but I can't continue with this wedding. I need to be with my real family, the family I should have chosen from the beginning." Victoria's eyes filled with angry tears. "You're throwing away everything for a child you just met?" "I'm not throwing anything away," Daniel replied. "I'm finally choosing what matters. I'm choosing love over obligation, family over status." Daniel turned to Emma, who was watching the adult drama with wide, confused eyes. "Emma, Would you like me to take you to see your mother? And would you like me to make sure she gets the best doctors and medicine available? Emma's face lit up with pure joy. Really? You would do that? Even though I'm just a poor girl who sings at parties? Daniel smiled through his tears. You're not just anything, sweetheart. You're my daughter. And I have 6 years of being your father to make up for. As Daniel led Emma out of the ballroom, carrying her guitar case and leaving behind his wedding guests, his abandoned bride, and his family's expectations, he felt truly alive for the first time in years. At the hospital, they found Sarah weak but conscious. When she saw Daniel walking in with Emma, her eyes filled with tears of recognition, love, and years of suppressed pain. Daniel, she whispered, what are you doing here? Aren't you supposed to be at your wedding? I was, Daniel said, taking her hand carefully. But I realized I was marrying the wrong woman. I came to ask if you can forgive me for leaving you, and ask if you'll give me the chance to be the father Emma deserves and the partner you should have had all along. Emma climbed onto the hospital bed beside her mother. Mama, this is my daddy. He was at the wedding where I was singing, and when he heard our special song, he recognized it. He wants to help you get better. Sarah looked at Daniel with exhaustion and hope warring in her eyes. I never told her about you because I didn't want her to feel rejected. I thought you had chosen your family's wealth over us. I thought I was protecting my family's business and our employees, Daniel explained. But I was wrong. I should have fought for us. I should have fought for our family. I'm here now, and I want to make things right if you'll let me. Over the following days, Daniel used his resources to ensure Sarah received the best medical care available. He also quietly ended his engagement to Victoria and faced his family's fury at his choice to abandon the arranged marriage. Emma continued singing, but now it was songs of hope rather than desperate attempts to earn money. She had found her father. Her mother was recovering, and their little family was finally complete. The wedding that was supposed to unite two wealthy families instead became the day that love conquered social expectations, and a poor girl song reunited a family that had been torn apart by others' ambitions. Sarah recovered fully with proper medical treatment. 3 months later, she and Daniel had a small, intimate wedding ceremony in the hospital chapel where Sarah had been treated. Emma served as both flower girl and wedding singer, performing the same song that had brought her parents back together. But this time, instead of singing for strangers at a fancy reception, she was singing to celebrate the love that had created their family. As Emma sang, "You are the reason," in her sweet, lisping voice, both of her parents cried, but this time they were tears of joy and gratitude. Daniel's family eventually came around when they saw how happy he was and how talented and kind Emma proved to be. They realized that true wealth wasn't about social status, but about love, integrity, and the courage to choose what really mattered. Emma continued performing, but now as a cherished daughter rather than a desperate child trying to save her mother. She often told people that music has the power to heal broken hearts and bring families back together, just like it did the night her song at a stranger's wedding changed 3 lives forever. Years later, Emma would become a professional musician, always remembering the day her voice touched the groom's heart and reminded him what truly mattered. She learned that sometimes the most important performances happen when you least expect them, and that singing from your heart can change everything, even for people you don't know are listening. Daniel learned that walking away from what others expected of him was the bravest thing he'd ever done. He discovered that true success wasn't measured by family approval or social status, but by the love of the people who mattered most. And Sarah learned that second chances do exist, that forgiveness can heal even the deepest wounds, and that sometimes love finds a way back even when it seems impossible. The poor girl song at a wedding became a family legend, the moment when fate, music, and courage combined to give them all the happy ending they deserved. The end.